to promote the latest projects, which are very simply mediation, stress audits, conflict-free solutions in the workplace, one-to-one stress face-to-face Skype work, or group work. One of the things that I'm certainly very aware of when it comes to stress and some of the stress symptoms is it has a direct correlation to self-esteem. You'll find on our Stress Experts website an article that was written on the subject of self-esteem, and you'll see some of my comments below. The idea of how stress affects individuals with low self-esteem is actually fairly pandemic in our culture, simply because we've noticed that the bulk of the clients that we've actually worked with certainly suffer from low self-esteem. What we've also recognized is that when a person is suffering from low self-esteem, it has 5 contributing factors. So I'd like to very briefly go through those contributing factors with you. The first factor is not prioritizing oneself, not making yourself as an individual the most important person in your life. Meaning that if you don't actually prioritize yourself, you will take on projects or activities, or you will say yes to certain commitments just because you're not actually considering how taking on somebody else's priorities will affect your emotional well-being and your health. If you don't make yourself a priority in your own life, it means that you will just simply ignore all your own stress signs. You'll simply ignore what you are capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing, and you'll simply ignore your limitations. So we look at why people don't make themselves a priority in their lives. Putting yourself under pressure. One of the things that we've recognized is how many individuals we've worked with put themselves under copious amounts of pressure to perform, which eventually exhausts them and they become ill. And I have said in many of the programs that I run is that there is a correlation between stress and anger, and stress fuels anger. So you can imagine from our perspective that interface is kind of fundamental and vital. If we can help people to reduce stress, it actually will help them to deal and manage their anger. So with regards to putting yourself under pressure, what I've noticed, certainly in the work that I've done, is that the individuals who put themselves under pressure tend to be individuals that we would describe as high achievers and low self-esteemers. And the more pressure they put themselves under, because they assume that the only way to succeed in the world or in professional life or personal life is to put themselves under pressure to perform. And we've certainly seen the fallout in relation to that. The third one is seeking approval. Now, I know that when I seek other people's approval, that is directly linked to getting positive strokes in order to make me feel good about myself. So there's 2 components to this. The one is trying to prove myself, and the other one is seeking approval. And by continuously seeking approval and trying to prove myself, what I have to do is I have to identify how does that serve me and what do I get out of that? Because there's a connection between seeking approval, putting myself under pressure, and not prioritizing myself. And so I need to begin the process of stop seeking other people's approval because 1, I don't need it. And secondly, if I'm looking for positive strokes from others, it doesn't last very long. So I have to identify why I'm seeking approval and actually what I'm gaining out of it, i.e. what are the benefits of that if it's such a short-term goal. or a short-term win. The fourth one is control. Now, I find that a very interesting aspect of stress, because if I don't feel like I am in control of a situation, that does certainly cause me anxiety. Or there are times when I feel like I'm too in control, I'm too in charge, and I'm not giving anybody else space to do what they can do. Certainly in a professional context, that can be very limiting of others, and of course very controlling of others. And in relation to me, if people aren't doing it perfectly or the way that I expect it or it should be done, that causes me a lot of frustration, anxiety, and everything else that goes with that part of me that needs to control everything. So what I ask people to do, certainly on our programs, is to look at their relationship to control, where they don't feel like they are in control, what's that about, and how to take control, and where through controlling they suffocate the spontaneity and creativity in others. And then the final one, number 5, is directly related to trust. So when I talk about trust, what I'm in fact talking about is the capacity to trust the unfolding of my own life, knowing that even if I drop the ball, even if I let somebody down, even if I make a commitment that I can't follow through on, it's not the end of the world. People who have low self-esteem tend to catastrophize. And so the idea is that I need to train myself to trust that whatever happens, it's not going to be the end of my world. It's not going to be the end of my life. It's just a situation whereby I have to find emotional resilience in order to actually cope. Then again, there's also trusting myself. And of course, often with people who have low self-esteem, they don't tend to trust themselves. So the idea is that I need to look at what gets in the way of me not trusting myself. And how can I actually trust myself more? We have a program, or a process, more like it, which is called Shaking the Apple Tree. It's a very, very simple process, but yet a profoundly powerful process. It is designed to help people to look at their resistance to increasing their self-esteem. It's designed to help people look at their resistance to why they put themselves under pressure, and also how come they need to make everyone else a priority other than themselves. If you are interested in finding out more about this, well then what I would suggest that you do is we do run these Beating Anger one-day workshops, but also you can read about it in my book, Mindfulness and the Art of Managing Anger. And if you wanted to attend any of our anger management programs, we certainly deliver on that as well. Thanks for listening. Any questions, email me, fishermike@mac.com. Visit our websites, stressexperts.co.uk, www.angermanage.co.uk.